A very good evening and welcome to the news tonight here on Sabha TV, where we get you the day's top stories from India and across the world. I'm Tracy Shilshi and join me in the next 30 minutes to catch all those stories. But first, the headlines. President Pranab Mukherjee calls for peace between Israel and Palestine, says stability in the Middle East is in India's interests. BJP Shiv Senas ties show signs of strain after the Kasuri book row. Sena decides to go it alone in the upcoming civic polls. Eminent writer Dilip Kaur Tiwana joins the protests against growing intolerance in the country, becomes the 25th writer to return her award. The Supreme Court adopts a tough stance on Uniform Civil Code, directs the government to make a decision in 3 weeks. And a Dutch report on the MH17 crash puts blame on Russia, even as Russian reports on the incident claim otherwise. President Pranab Mukherjee insisted on peace and stability in the Middle East before he began his 3-day visit to Israel. He proposed a framework to boost ties with Palestine during his speech at the Al-Quds University in Jerusalem today. He also offered $5 million as budgetary support to Palestine.
President Pranab Mukherjee has reiterated that India seeks peace in the Middle East amid tension in West Bank. Clashes continue between Palestine and Israeli forces after 3 Israelis were injured on Monday in 2 stabbing attacks in Jerusalem. So far, 4 Israelis have been killed in stabbing attacks in the past 10 days and dozens injured. The president said that India identifies the crisis to be the center of Arab-Israel conflict. He said it is in India's interest that the region achieves peace and stability. The president was conferred an honorary doctorate by Al-Quds University in Jerusalem on the second and final day of his visit to this country. Earlier, he held talks with his Palestinian counterpart, Mahmoud Abbas, in Ramallah, where he reiterated India's economic and political support for the Palestinians. The president has handed over a check of $5 million to the Palestinian government as a budgetary support. Both countries have also announced 5 projects worth $17.79 million aimed at capacity building in the Palestinian territories. The projects include a techno park, an institute for diplomacy, and an Indian-Palestine Center for Excellence in Gaza. President arrived in Tel Aviv later for his 3-day visit to Israel. He is expected to sign a double taxation treaty beside holding talks with his Israeli counterpart, Reuven Rivlin, and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
There are 2 major MOUs that we're about to sign. The first one is the prevention of double taxation. And the second one is cooperation in culture and culture exchange of delegations between the 2 sides.
The president will also address to Israeli Parliament, Knesset, which is a rare honor for any visiting leader. He will give a speech to around 125 members. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And back home, ties between allies BJP and Shiv Senas have developed further strains after protests against former Pakistani Minister Khurshid Mahmood Kasuri's book launch yesterday. The Sena has now decided to go alone in an upcoming civic polls that are, of course, to be held next month after Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis strongly criticized the Shiv Senics who smeared black ink on Sudhendra Kulkarni's face on Monday, who, by the way, received praises from party chief Uddhav Thackeray.
This protest by Shiv Senas supporters have caused fresh strains in the party's relation with its ruling partner BJP. Sena continues to back the protesters as the 6 activists arrested for the act were praised by party chief Uddhav Thackeray on Tuesday. Sena activists threw paint on Kulkarni for rejecting the party's demand that former Pakistan Minister Khurshid Mahmood Kasuri's book launch be called off. But Kulkarni remained defiant.
The freedom of speech of Samna and the political party of which it is the mouthpiece. And I expect that the Shiv Sena respects others' freedom of speech.
Shiv Sena's protest against the book launch and earlier the cancellation of Pakistan's singer Ghulam Ali's show irked BJP. Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis opposed both the protests. He took on the alliance partners for sending out wrong signals to the world at a time when the state is looking forward to FDIs.
ये बहुत ही गलत है और न केवल शिवसेना एज ए पार्टी उसकी इमेज के लिए, मुंबई शहर की प्रतिमा के लिए, महाराष्ट्र के लिए और देश के लिए, सबके लिए बहुत ही घातक एक कृत्य है और उसका मैं बहुत ही कड़े शब्दों में मैं इसकी निंदा करता हूं। अगर किसी को प्रोटेस्ट करना है, किसी को विरोध जताना है, उसके अपने देश के अंदर शांति प्रिय तरीके हो सकते हैं।
But Sena slammed Fadnavis over his reaction. It claimed that by allowing Kasuri to launch his book, the chief minister insulted the martyrs of the 26/11 attack.
बघा, जर पाकिस्तानशी लढणाऱ्या सैनिकांना आपण अशोक चक्र देतो, वीरचक्र देतो, परमवीर चक्र देतो आणि त्यांचा सत्कार करतो ना, त्याप्रमाणे पाकिस्तानशीच लढणाऱ्या आमच्या शिवसैनिकांचा जर शिवसेना पक्षप्रमुखांनी सत्कार केला तर त्यात पोटात दुखण्याचं कारण काय? आतापर्यंत पाकिस्तानी या प्रवृत्तीशी लढण्याचं कार्य शिवसैनिकांनीच केलेलं आहे.
Shiv Sena has now decided not to partner BJP in an upcoming civic poll in Kalyan and Dombivli, where the municipal corporation is currently run by the Sena BJP alliance. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, for more on this story, we're joined by Anant Bal Bagetkar, who's the Chief of News Bureau of the Sakal Group, in fact, joining us in studio this evening. Mr. Bagetkar, first of all, if you would just like to know what is exactly the Shiv Sena's game plan at this moment? Can we call it muscle flexing as they've been doing in past as well?
Actually, for that, one must understand first the grouse which Shiv Sena has with BJP. Actually, Shiv Sena, whatever they were wanting from BJP at the center and also in the state, the share in the power, which I think they did not get. And obviously, that grouse is now getting reflected in these kind of embarrassing episodes, embarrassing obviously for their major partner, that is BJP. And I think Shiv Sena will definitely try to embarrass BJP by taking their original, very hard, aggressive, pro-Hindutva line. And I think yesterday was the manifestation of that aggressive Hindutva posture or the line which Shiv Sena always been taking. So this is obviously to embarrass BJP. But at the same time, one should also keep in mind that if BJP would have been in the opposition, now they are in power at the center as well as in the state, what would have been their reaction to Kasuri's book launch in India?
Yes.
So I think that question, which was raised by Shiv Sena's spokesperson, Mr. Sanjay Raut, yesterday, is also valid and is to be considered by the political observers.
Well, I don't think, mostly what the criticism that we've, of course, heard against the Shiv Sena, at least about the Kasuri book row, is not the fact that they targeted Kasuri, it's the way they targeted Sudhindra Kulkarni. I think that is especially what has, of course, got everyone, angry, questioning, of course, tolerance in the country and all that. But, does this also mean that a BJP is unable to look after, or keep its ally happy, and these are the kind of incidents that one could expect more to happen in Mumbai?
Absolutely, because you see, power is the real thing between any alliance, whether it is NCP or Congress or in any 2, 3, 4 parties. So if Shiv Sena as a junior partner, if they obviously they expect some important portfolios from their major partner, that is BJP. But if they don't get, then obviously their grouse, their anger will be coming out in such a way which we saw yesterday, which we all witnessed yesterday. And now I think the Kalyan Dombivli Municipal Corporation, where Shiv Sena BJP was ruling, they were ruling jointly. But now I think in coming election, Shiv Sena is going it alone.
Yes.
And this is, I think, build up towards the Mumbai or Bombay Municipal Corporation elections, which are due in, I think, around March 2017.
All right. So what you're saying is that these are, of course, tactics of the Shiv Sena to show really who's the real boss, at least in Mumbai.
In Mumbai.
But this uneasy marriage will continue. We won't be seeing a divorce anytime soon.
I think let us wait up to BMC, the Bombay Municipal Corporation election. I think there the real, flashing point or a breaking point we may witness at that time.
Okay.
Because Bombay Municipal Corporation is a very prestigious local body.
Yes.
And it's a financial capital of the country, means like Delhi. It is political capital of India.
Yes.
But Mumbai is still a financial capital of India, and the Mumbai Corporation, which is a very prestigious local body. And Shiv Sena is ruling Mumbai Corporation for almost last
25
3
years or so.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
So obviously this will be a real test. I think one must watch.
All right. And very quickly, of course, where is the BJP stand at the moment? What other option do they have? Is there an NCP that they can perhaps lean on, or they just have to stick with this alliance with the Shiv Sena?
No, I think if BJP, they don't have any option but to stick together with Shiv Sena or whatever Shiv Sena does to embarrass them. I think if BJP leadership, if it is wise enough, there should be more accommodation as far as power sharing is concerned, at least in Maharashtra. Leave aside center.
Yes.
Because in Union Cabinet also Shiv Sena has got only one portfolio, that is heavy industries, which is of no consequence. So I think at least in state, if BJP shows some kind of an accommodation and giving something better than what they have given Shiv Sena so far, I think problems can be solved.
All right. We'll leave it there for now. Mr. Bagatkar, thanks so much for joining us, giving us a sense of what we can look forward, at least in Mumbai. Uneasy times, definitely. But talking of that, also uneasy times across the country. In fact, eminent Punjabi writer and Padma Shri recipient Dalip Kaur Tiwana, is the latest in the long list of writers to return her award to protest against growing intolerance in the country. In a letter to the centre, Tiwana said that she was returning the honour she received in 2004 because of the growing intolerance and communalism that is on the rise in the country. She in fact said that the attack on those who stand up for truth was a disgrace to the entire country. Meanwhile, Kannada writer Professor Rehmat Tarikeri has also returned his Sahitya Academy Award, protesting the killing of rationalists M.M. Kalburgi and Narendra Dabholkar and Govind Pansare, with Krishna Sopti and Arun Joshi also joining the ranks of writers returning their awards. At least 25 writers have now followed this form of protest. Meanwhile, the Sangeet Natak Academy chair has called this form of protest misguided reaction. Shekhar Sen in fact saying that this in return would affect the autonomous nature of these organizations.
आजकल जो माहौल चल रहा है, इसमें अवार्ड क्या मायने रखता है? तो मेरे मन में गिल्ट पैदा हो गया कि भाई ये गलत किया है मैंने। जिस साहित्य अकेडमी ने मुझे सम्मानित किया है, वही साहित्य अकेडमी अवार्ड विनर मारे जा रहे।
जो दादरी कांड वापरा है, जिसमें एक मोहम्मद खलाक के नाम को एक समूह ने कत्ल कर दिया एक अफवाह के पर, जो है हमारे देश की जो अखंडता है, धर्मनिरपेक्षता है, जो है उस पर अटैक है।
मेरे मन में यही कामना है, यही मेरा सपना है, इसमें यही आशा छुपी हुई है कि साहित्य अकादमी को सियासतदानों के भय से या किसी और शक्ति के भय से कभी खामोश नहीं होना चाहिए।
मैं चाहूँगा कि वो अपना विरोध प्रदेश की सरकार को, प्रदेश के गृह मंत्री को, प्रदेश के मुख्यमंत्री को करें, देश के गृह मंत्री को करें, देश के प्रधानमंत्री को लिखें कि हम चिंतित हैं। साहित्य अकादमी को लिखें, साहित्य अकादमी के मंत्री होने के नाते मुझे लिखें। मैं उनकी आवाज़ बनना चाहता हूं। उनकी आवाज़ में आवाज़ मिलाकर हम उसका प्रतिरोध करेंगे और प्रयास करेंगे कि ऐसी घटनाएं ना हो।
In other news, the Supreme Court has given the government 3 weeks to make a decision on the Uniform Civil Code, responding to a PIL filed by a Christian man. The Apex Court bench said whether the code is implemented or not, the decision must be reached by the next hearing.
Law Minister Sadananda Gowda has said that a final decision on bringing a uniform civil code would be taken only after wider consultations. This comes after the Supreme Court gave the government 3 weeks to come clear on the issue. In a stern remark, the Supreme Court asked the government to take a decision soon on whether it wants to enforce a uniform civil code. Currently, different laws govern inheritance and divorce for different communities. A uniform civil code aims to end the unvarying standards of religious laws and bring them under the same yardstick in matters of law.
Uniform civil code doesn't mean that the Hindu personal laws should be made applicable to Muslims and Christians also. Uniform civil code would mean that even the good things which are there in the Muslim laws, that should be brought into the main law and made applicable to others.
I feel that it is about time that the nation is ruled by one law and there is clarity in the law. Ambiguity, this ambiguity is not an acceptable thing in law, and you cannot have people being governed by their own customs, which are contrary to established principles of law.
Even though the government has sought wider consultations, creating a consensus would be a Herculean task.
Have we really prepared a rough draft where we can be called in, all the stakeholders representing all different religions, come together and study it? If there is any kind of disagreements, we can always put forward our concerns, our feelings, so that we can work out something for common good. Because here it's a question of common good for everyone, welfare of the country, welfare of the whole society.
देखिए, हम लोग तो और तमाम मुस्लिम संगठन यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड के खिलाफ ही रहे हैं। भारत जैसे देश में जो अलग अलग रीति रिवाज के लोग हैं और मुख्तलिफ जो है धर्मों मजहबों को मानते हैं, यहाँ जो है यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड जो है अनन्यूट्रल है।
देखिए, यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड अगर आता है तो बहुत से ऐसे आज चीजें हैं जो कई और समाजों को, हिंदू समाज को, जैन समाज को और समाजों को आज जो सहूलियतें मिलती है वो भी सब हट जाएंगी। इसमें अगर सरकार और कोर्ट व्यापक चर्चा करे और उसमें कोई निष्कर्ष निकले तो बेहतर होगा।
The Supreme Court made the observation while hearing a PIL filed by a Delhi resident seeking the waiver of the mandatory separation period of 2 years before a Christian couple can file for divorce by mutual consent. For other religions, the separation period is 1 year. The PIL claims the law is biased against the Christian community. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
With that, a quick break here, but still ahead, the European Union has urged Russia to halt its aerial bombing campaign in Syria.
Clash of personalities, a battle of ideologies. Nitish Kumar's charisma versus the Modi magic. Who has the edge in Bihar? Watch The Big Picture at 9:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back to the news tonight. Let's get you now all the latest from the Bihar campaign. Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar addressed an election rally in the Nokha constituency of Rohtas today. Attacking the NDA alliance, Nitish Kumar said that the BJP lacks leadership and has no leader to field in Bihar. While accusing the Prime Minister of using foul language during the election campaign, he also said that Prime Minister Modi represents the Bharatiya Jumla party, which is known to make only false promises. He also accused the Narendra Modi government of being corrupt.
हमारे यहाँ तक 4 लाख रुपया लेते दिखा और सब कार्रवाई हुई, और आपके यहाँ जिसके यहाँ 2 करोड़ रुपया नकदी धराया उसको आपने मंत्री बनाया। आप किस मुंह से ये बात बोलते हैं? क्या हुआ व्यापम घोटाले में मध्य प्रदेश में न जाने गाजर मूली की तरह कितने लोग मर रहे हैं।
Meanwhile, BJP President Amit Shah addressed his 26th election rally in Rohtas district's Rajpur constituency today. Shah said that he was confident of his party's victory with at least 2/3 of a winning margin. Vouching for BJP candidate Rameshwar Chaurasya, Shah urged people to cast their votes after looking at the BJP's track record in other states.
जहां जहां भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकारें बनी है, किसान, अति पिछड़ा, दलित, महादलित, सबके लिए विकास के दरवाजे खुल गए। जहां जहां भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकारें बनी है, वहां पर एक बार जनता भारतीय जनता पार्टी को चुनती है, बाद में बार बार भारतीय जनता पार्टी ही चुनकर आती है।
Now let's get you some more updates from across the country and nationwide. The Supreme Court today dismissed the plea of sacked Gujarat IPS officer Sanjeev Bhatt to make BJP chief Amit Shah a party to his petitions. He has alleged harassment for certain disclosures in the 2002 Gujarat riots cases. He had sought an SIT probe in 2 FIRs lodged against him. He has been accused of allegedly forcing his subordinates to file an affidavit in a riots case and hacking the email of a law officer. Andhra Pradesh politician Jagmohan Reddy was forcibly taken to a hospital after his health deteriorated on the 7th day of an indefinite fast. Reddy has been on a protest to press for special category status for Andhra Pradesh. Doctors who monitored his health condition said that the ketones in his body have risen. They administered him fluids intravenously as Jagan Reddy insisted on continuing with his fast. Protesting farmers in Punjab today decided to call off their 7-day rail roko stir, which crippled train services in the state. In support of their demand for higher compensation, the farmers have now decided to gheraw all state ministers, ruling party MLAs and other party leaders at all district headquarters on the 22nd of October. More than 12 lakh power sector employees and engineers across the country will go on a day-long strike on the 8th of December to protest the Electricity Amendment Bill. The legislation, which was proposed during the last winter session of Parliament, seeks to segregate distribution business from electricity generation. All state units of power sector employees will hold conventions or rallies in the state capitals during November to mobilize support for the strike. Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, Pakistani Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif will raise the issue of suspended Indo-Pak peace process with President Barack Obama during his US visit next week. Sharif is expected to meet Obama on the 22nd of October in Washington during his US trip. India-Pakistan ties suffered a major blow in August 2015 when NSA-level talks between the two sides were cancelled over difference in agenda of talks. The crisis escalated when Sharif raised the Kashmir issue in his speech at the UNGA and blamed India for derailing the peace process. Pakistan's National Security Advisor Sartaj Aziz has hinted that Islamabad will share a dossier on India's alleged involvement in terror activities on its soil. The dossier was submitted to the UN chief last month during the UNGA assembly. Meanwhile, 24 fishermen from Tamil Nadu were arrested by the Sri Lankan Navy on Monday night for allegedly entering their territorial waters and indulging in illegal fishing. More than 3,000 fishermen and 600 boats were chased away at gunpoint by the Lankan Navy. Chief Minister Jayalalitha plans to write to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, urging him to take up the continued arrests of state fishermen at a high political level with Sri Lanka. The arrests come 2 days after the Lankan Navy captured 19 more Indian fishermen from Pak Strait on charges of poaching in the territorial waters. In more international news, nearly a year after the MH17 crash, Dutch authorities today briefed relatives of the passengers on its final report on the incident. It suggests that the plane was hit by a Russian-made missile. However, Russia came up with its own report on the incident, claiming that the missile that hit the ill-fated aircraft is available in Ukraine's arsenal.
The Dutch Safety Board final report claims that the Malaysian airliner MH17 was hit by a Russian-made missile. The authorities will also show the relatives parts of the aircraft that have been brought back from the crash site. The plane flying from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur had crashed in the rebel-held region in eastern Ukraine on 17th July 2014, at a time when the conflict between Ukrainian government and the pro-Russian separatists were at its peak.
Flight MH17 crashed as a result of the detonation of a warhead outside the aeroplane, above the left-hand side of the cockpit. This warhead was of the 9N314M type, carried on the kind of missile that is installed on the BAC surface-to-air missile system.
The report also elaborated on what caused the crash in the mid-air, why it was flying over the conflict zone, and to what extent passengers and the crew were aware of what was happening during their final moments. The bereaved relatives sought justice after the report was made public.
I'm assuming that the people already knows who did it, but then you have the next step for the prosecution. What we want to know from next of kin, that who did it will bring to justice.
Meanwhile, Russia came up with its own findings, which completely refutes the Dutch report. It claims that a 9M38 missile, which the Dutch claims hit MH17, exists in Ukraine's arsenal and is not used by Russian military.
Полностью опровергли выводы голландской комиссии о типе ракеты и месте запуска. Сегодня мы можем однозначно сказать, и в презентации это покажем, что если Боинг 777 малайзийских авиалиний был сбит зенитно-ракетным комплексом БУК,
both the West and Ukraine alleged that Russian-backed rebels brought down the Boeing 777. But Russia claims the missile was fired from the Ukrainian-controlled territory. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The European Union has urged Russia to halt its aerial bombing campaign in Syria. EU's warning comes just a day after Russian President Vladimir Putin openly claimed that their airstrikes are targeted at Syrian rebels. EU foreign ministers met in Luxembourg early on Monday to discuss the Syrian crisis and the future of President Assad. For the first time, they had prioritized the civilian protection before finding a political solution.
Obviously, there is a worry on the fact that military activities might be either not targeted against Daesh or other UN-recognized terrorist organizations, and on the other side might not be coordinated with other actors that are playing a military role in the area, which is something dangerous in itself.
And now for other international stories, let's get you Global Buzz. 2 rocket shells were fired at the Russian embassy in Damascus this morning. The incident happened during a demonstration supporting Moscow, and there were no reports of casualties or damage to the building. The incident, though, came nearly 2 weeks after Russia, a major ally of Syria's President Bashar al-Assad, launched airstrikes against Syrian rebels and IS extremists. The Iranian parliament has approved a deal on its nuclear program agreed with 6 world powers. The deal was passed with 161 votes in favour, while 59 parliamentarians voted against and 13 abstained. However, Iran's parliament insisted that international inspectors would have only limited access to military sites. Iran insists that its nuclear program is entirely peaceful. Houthi fighters and Yemeni troops are battling to gain control of Yemen's 3rd largest city, Taiz. Men fired weapons from the home of former President Ali Abdullah Saleh, an ally of the Houthis. The coalition, which also includes Bahrain, Qatar, Egypt and the UAE, has been fighting the Houthis for more than 6 months. And that's all we have for you on the news tonight. Thanks so much for joining us.